In episode 1, we went over the Dansgaard-Oeschger cycles and how the global impact from up to 16 degrees of warming in a couple decades makes modern global warming, a degree or two over 150 years, really look like nothing. Here, we're going to once again play devil's advocate and presume that their main Arctic concerns come true, that we will warm the Earth so much that we cause uncontrollable Arctic melting. We will once again show how even playing devil's advocate, even letting them have their cake, their story still falls apart. There is a 6,000-year cycle of what they call Heinrich events, where massive heating occurs at the poles, ice melts, and giant iceberg rafting occurs, and they cause the exact opposite reaction to the warming. First, the ice melts, too much ice, and then that ice cools and freshens the oceans. Freshening means makes them less salty. The cooler oceans begin to cool the atmosphere, and then the cooler oceans and fresher chemistry causes a major freeze-over in winter. This causes sunlight to reflect back off into space rather than be absorbed into the ocean, and that triggers a major cooling event. We have previously looked at some of the studies on this, and we will again here, both in the models and in the actual paleoclimate geological records. The ice melting triggered from the heat triggers cooling, like a safety valve, a safety mechanism that kicks Earth back in the other direction. Earth actually has this safety trigger the other way around too. If it gets too cold, too much vapor freezes out of the atmosphere, and a lack of clouds therefrom causes enhanced sunlight exposure, heating us back up. These cooling events happen about every 6,000 years, and here are some of the ones on record. Pretty reliable cycle there every 6,000 years, but you may ask, what about the event 6,000 years ago? That one isn't on the list. Well, 12,000 years ago we ended the glacial period. That glacial period had lasted for nearly 100,000 years, and we entered the modern warm interglacial period called the Holocene. The Heinrich event will not look the same when it's not a glacial period, so we look instead to tropical hydroclimate events, like the greenest of the Green Sahara episodes. You may have heard about the Green Sahara periods in history, and the greenest of them all was about 6,000 years ago, which is precisely the kind of major peak shift on the 6,000-year cycle we'd expect to see. So go ahead and just add the event 6,000 years ago to the list in your mind, and we'll see how fundamentally cyclical it is. It's been 6,000 years since that wolf and the winter cold, and now, as then, a beast approaches. We're due in time, and the poles are melting just as before. That's 2 episodes of letting them have their say, playing devil's advocate against ourselves, giving them the cake from the starting block and demonstrably obliterating the fear they try to instill. Enjoy the next Heinrich event, and I'll see you next time.